Good morning and welcome to the Ridge View. My name is Laura Campbell and I'm with Missional Discipleship here at Oak Ridge UMC. I hope that you have grabbed your coffee and you're here to learn a little bit more about what God is up to. I'm excited to share with you something that's near and dear and close to my heart, and that is something called a Mezzuzah. I learned about Mezzuzah on I was actually not in Israel. I was a babysitter for a family who had gone to Israel, and they brought me one back. And so that's the first time I had heard of it. And so a Mezzuzah is a little box with an empty back encasing that you put a scroll inside that for the Jewish tradition holds a prayer. And so the prayer inside is represented by this Hebrew symbol, and you put it on your doorpost. Mezzuzah means doorpost, and it most commonly is referring to Deuteronomy 6:6-9, when it refers to writing scripture on your foreheads and on your arms and on your doorpost, that it might be a symbol of the gates of the city. If you've read scripture or the Bible and you've heard of the word gate, it means something very different in the Middle East and in biblical times and even in modern times than it does for us here in America and what we think a gate might be. So that for them, a gate is going to be on the side of their city walls, and all cities are encapsulated by a wall. And not only is a gate there, it could be opened or it could have some sort of closing to protect the city, but it is never straight on the city wall. It's always sideways. So if people are coming towards the city, then they have to slow down and turn. Typically inside the gate is where the judges sit, and we'll get into that another day. But within the Mezzuzah is a prayer. And I love that the Jewish people actually refer to this prayer as the centerpiece of the beginning of their day and the centerpiece of their evening. This is a prayer they use to pray over their children at night. This includes a phrase that they say when people are in their last moments. And so that prayer is called a Shema. And so there's not actually an English word, that is the Hebrew pronunciation of it as well, but we've done our best to spell it in English as S-H-E-M-A. And so if you want to do more research, you can do that. And Shema means to hear. It's so interesting because in the Jewish tradition, they use this as a tool or a symbol. It comes in all sorts of form. I also have a pottery one. There's some that are metal. There's quite a variety of options you can use, but you have it on your doorpost. And so as we were talking about city gates, oftentimes the city gates will also have a Mezzuzah, but ultimately it's recognizing that outside of the city walls you're the most vulnerable and there's the most chaos, and you're subject to weather conditions, people that you don't trust, tax collectors, all sorts of unpredictable moments. But then within a city, even if it's not your own, there's certain culture and expectations and a way in which people operate to do the best living together. And that's what Israel is like. Even though there's multiple cultures living together, ultimately they all want the best for their family. And so that minimizes conflict because they want to live well. And ultimately, once you go from outside the city to inside the city to your own home on the doorpost, you're recognizing that God is there in the dwelling place, that as you leave to cross the threshold in the morning, that God goes with you. And that as you're coming home, you get to leave that chaos behind, enter your dwelling place once again, where God's hand, guidance, and peace is there. And so you take God both with you, but you also recognize that it's in your home. And as I continue to say that the Shema is a prayer that's being recited, remember that Shema means hear. So the Shema opens with the line, "Hear, O Israel, hear, our God is one." They go on to say the word Adonai, and Adonai is in place of the word Lord. And they do that because they're so true to the law, and they believe in God so truly that they never would want to misuse God's true name, which in the Bible is represented as Yahweh. And so Adonai is our God. It's the subject for our. And so as they go on, the Shema continues to say, you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them on your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hands and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on your doorposts of your house and on your gates. That's Deuteronomy 6:4-9, and it is a part of that Jewish Shema prayer. If then you obey the commandments, then I enjoin upon you this day, loving Adonai your God and serving God with all of your heart and soul, I will grant the rain for your land in season, the early rain and the late. You shall gather in your new grain, wine and oil. I will also provide grass in the fields and for your cattle, that you shall eat your fill. Take care and do not be lured away to serve other gods and bow to them. For Adonai's anger will flare up against you, and Adonai will shut up the skies, and so that there will be no rain, and the ground will not yield its produce, and you will soon perish from the good and that Adonai is giving you. Therefore, impress upon these words upon your very heart. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead, and teach them to your children, reciting them when you stay at home, and when you are away, and when you lie down, and when you get up, and inscribe them on doorposts of your house and on the gates that you and your children enter. Your children may endure in the land of Adonai, swore to your ancestors to give them as long as there is a heaven over earth. And then oftentimes they will repeat the first phrase. Shema Israel Adonai, Elohim Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai our God, Adonai is one. And so I hope that you might hang a phrase somewhere that you might visit regularly. And either they'll kiss their hands and touch the mezuzah, or they'll touch it on their coming and going. And so I hope that you will put something in your life to remind you that the object of life is to worship God in all aspects, that God goes with you in your going and in your coming, and that God is with you in your lying and in your wake time. It's a beautiful message to cling to. I hope that you will find a way to work it into your life as well. Thanks be to God that we might have the scriptures on our hearts, on our foreheads, on our hands, on our doorpost, and everywhere we look. Have a great day.